Hey, on my Travel Wins podcast, I'm looking to have Chris Gratton. How are you today, Chris?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thanks. Chris is a production manager. You have more titles than I can imagine. So let me hit them. Production manager, tour director, designer, tour producer, production manager, stage manager, set designer, tour consultant, tour co-designer. That's about it, right?
Yeah, that sums it up.
Can't believe I actually got you because you travel more than me, but with the shutdown right now, I'm actually getting a hold of people, which is kind of fun.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure.
For all the wrong reasons.
True that. It's a very sad time, but this too shall pass, and I believe a lot of positives going to come out of it on the other end.
It's going to be interesting to see the bump, because it's kind of a false depression.
Correct.
So I think we're going to hopefully come out of it much quicker than a regular depression, or recession, however they want to call it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Currently, the production manager, co-designer, tour director for Justin Bieber. Is that
correct?
But yeah, I mean, you've worked with, let me see if I can get this, Janet Jackson, Kanye West, Ariana Grande, Smashing Pumpkins, Guns N' Roses, P. Diddy, Clay Aiken, Kelly Clarkson, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Korn, Billy Idol. It keeps getting better. Tool, Super Bowl, Tracy Chapman. I mean,
sure.
Sorry to bring up your past.
Oh, good. This may feel a little old, but no, I love
exactly.
I absolutely love what I do. So.
In 30 years of being in the production management tour business, how much has technology changed that?
150% for me because of my age. I'm 51 now. When I first started, I got into this business doing lights, being a lighting designer, and we didn't even have moving lights then. We had analog consoles. There was no moving lights whatsoever. You know, we had gobos, Arcans, Lecos. There was zero moving lights. So on my end, as far as the lighting goes, it's tremendous because now everything's a moving light. And after that, everything became moving light with LED. So there's actually been, a few huge developments since I've been in the business. And on the sound end, it's the same. They went from analog consoles to digital consoles. Everything now is digital. So there's been mass changes as far as technology goes. All for the better for the fans because the shows they're more like spectaculars now. It's very rare that you go to a show and it's just a band.
Yeah.
Lots of changes.
I'm about the same age. I'm a year older than you, and I still appreciate just the bands. Like I still go to the Troubadour, and I saw Los Lonely Boys. I saw Ex-Ambassadors down at the Orpheum.
Awesome.
And
I think the smaller the venue, the better.
And it was just great music.
Yep.
I get the big show. My I guess what I kind of regret. My daughters got tickets to U2 at the Rose Bowl, and I'm like, nah.
With tour?
It was a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Yep.
And I'm like, nah. I mean, I've been a fan of U2 since 81, 82. Gloria and I Will Follow, and
Rattle and Hum.
Yeah, so
Joshua Tree, good stuff.
I don't need to see them from a quarter mile away and watch the screen. That's just me.
Yeah, I never understood
100,000 people.
Yeah, I don't get it. I was a big Deadhead. Well, still am a big Deadhead, and I didn't like any of the stadium shows. They just don't sound good. It doesn't look as good. There's no intimacy.
Yeah.
It's a great vibe with the fans, but I go to see shows. I want to see the show and connect with it.
If it was a band I didn't care about, maybe I'd do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just and look at it as an event.
Yeah, like a Stagecoach or something to that effect.
We
had the festival here in Redondo Beach. That got canceled. But
everything.
Yeah, because U2 music meant something to me, so I don't want to hear crappy U2 and pay.
Yeah, it's very hard to find a decent sound in stadiums. I mean, bands do it, and you can find the pockets where it is, but there's no way to make an entire stadium sound great.
I was going to ask you, technology, I mean, I'm trying to imagine back even 15 or 20 years ago, if you didn't have emails, internet, and all that to communicate with all these different venues, must have just been a complete pain in the ass.
It was such a different world. I mean, we relied on Pagers, finally. We didn't even have that at first. But pagers.
Fax machines were new.
Fax machines were like, that was the saving grace, you know?
Yeah.
And you would spend hours on the phone. Where now, so like if I was advancing a tour, before you fax everybody, get it out to everybody, then you start doing your roll calls, you know, but you'd have to spend hours on the phone explaining everything. You know, oftentimes the fax wouldn't come through right or smudged, or, you know, you didn't know if people saw it or not. And so your advance calls would take a lot longer. And now, you know, everything's on the internet. We put everything up in Dropbox. The promoters, the agents, man, everybody can see everything at one time. And
on their phone while they're trying, you know.
Oh, yeah, you can do it. You can pop in each other's screens. You can see everything. I mean, advancing now is so fine, detailed. Like, it's so easy, and you have everything right there. No one can deny it. It's, you know, it's hard to get it wrong because it's so easy to, you know, pass around the information.
Well, and you can even FaceTime now, which...
Oh, yeah, always.
Which I always say, I mean, talking on the phone's good. Texting to me is terrible, but I do it as much as anybody else. But,
right.
But, you know, when you FaceTime somebody, you can see their facial expressions. You can kind of see if they're staying interested, and, you know, it just makes a big difference.
We use WhatsApp a lot. WhatsApp's, you know, real popular everywhere else in the world. So that's my favorite go-to. And now after this many years, I know all the promoters. You know, I know all the agents. We all know each other. So we know each other's styles. We know what to expect. We know each other's crews. Between the technology, making it easier to advance, and that many years of experience, it's, you know, easy and it's great. I love it.
You know, we were talking briefly before we got on air, but how many days a year are you on the road, do you think, roughly?
Roughly, as I've gotten older, I've cut back. It used to be almost constantly. I mean, you know, there was an 8-year period in my life where I didn't even have a place. I just stayed in hotels when I was home or went on little vacations or whatever. But now, 10 months, somewhere between 8 and 10 months, I'm gone. You know, if I'm only gone 8 months in a year, that's awesome. But it's usually between 8 and 10. My wife travels out to me a lot. We have a 2-week rule. So she either flies to me or I fly home for a day or whatever.
I gotcha.
Just keeps it healthier, you know. And I see my kids a lot. And, you know, that what you brought up, Skype and all that before, that was a huge, when that all came out, it became much easier for me to be away from the kids because I could see them and watch them grow and talk to them, their face every day. You know, when all that technology came out, it became a lot less stressful on me as far as the father part of my life.
Well, and your wife too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I did. My daughter went to London for a summer college thing, and we were FaceTiming, you know, when she was at her apartment because she had Wi-Fi there. And it was like, she was just telling me, oh, yeah, I went on the double-decker buses today. Oh, yeah, we did this, we did that. And I'm like, it was literally like we were right there. So kind of Jetsonous, you know? Jetson, you know, where you go. It's just weird. I'm like, you're in London right now, you know? For one.
Yeah, my kids at one point were so into it, I'd keep my computer I'm working on, then a tablet next to me opened on Skype so they could see in my office every day.
Oh, I got you.
I'd turn it on. They could talk to my assistant or see me come and go out of the office. It was a lot of fun.
That's neat. You know, that's why I started taking photos when I traveled because I would come home and my daughters would be like, oh, so what was, you know, Mount Rushmore like, or what was, you know, Wyoming like, or what was Oregon like? And I'm like, so I just started taking a crap ton of pictures.
Nice.
Yeah. That's kind of how I became a creative person, just to make my kids happy.
There you go.
Kids have that effect on people, I guess.
Amen. Yep.
So
love them.
The Justin Bieber tour was just about to get started. How bad did the lockdown affect everybody that works for you? It's been horrible. You know, it's the whole music industry was the first to shut down. As soon as this thing started picking up a little steam, you know, it was the right thing to Live Nation and AG immediately started pulling people back in and protecting us. And, you know, I have to give them credit. They both jumped on it real quick. So, yeah, it's been real tough. You know, we had to let 87 people go last week, 2 weeks ago now, because there's no tour, there's no money. It's going to be a while before we get back going. So it's been the worst thing. I've been doing it for 30 years, and it's the first time I've ever seen the business come to a screeching halt besides 9/11. But even 9/11, as tragic as that was, we were really only down for like a month. Yeah, you avoided New York.
Yeah.
Because my wife worked in the casinos in Vegas during 9/11, and they were still open. She goes, and now she has her friends that still work there sending her videos. They said now they're all closed, but the last day when they were leaving to walk through New York with no games playing, no music, no people.
Got to be so surreal.
Walking through the gaming floor, and you're like, what the hell?
That would be just crazy to see.
Well, I've seen that. They've been putting a lot of pictures online of the strip with no cars, no people.
I've seen that, yeah. And all the pictures of Europe, all these major cities are usually packed, just empty. It's wild. Definitely unprecedented.
Crazy times. What's your favorite part of traveling after 30 years?
Everything. I just love it. I love meeting the different people. I love the different foods and cultures. It's, the world is really small, and we're really all the same. We have different cultures, and being in the music business, everybody speaks music, it's something we all understand. So, it unites us. So when we come into all these different places, they're just as excited for us to be there as we're excited to be there,
Yeah.
So it's always, it always starts on a good vibe anyway, which is great. And I mean, I just nonstop learning from other people and their cultures. It's really my favorite part of traveling. I learn every day. I'm 51 and I still learn constantly.
Yeah, I'm sitting with you. I'm with you. And that's the one thing I like about it. And I always tell people there are people that are geared for office type work, and then there's people that aren't. And like for me, and a lot of the people I talk to now with my podcast, if I'm not traveling, I'm not making money. So, right. I mean, there's this thing in the back of your head. You're like, well, I'm being safe, but also I'm not making money right now. And and I don't know that you told me something that absolutely blew me away when you said tell my listeners who's the most important person for the music industry when this ends.
To me, the way I look at everything right now is the commissioner of the NBA. He controls our arenas where there's so much of our work. All the base work is in arenas. And as soon as he decides what they're doing with all their teams and their scheduling, and if they're going to start back up the season or they're going to pass on it, we can't even imagine. Never mind what our government tells us and all that. We've been through all that. If he opens the doors again, then we got to watch and see what the commissioner of the NBA does, and then we'll know what we're doing. Because as soon as they decide on their schedules and get that set, then the NHL sets their schedules, and then entertainment gets the slots. So to me, the commissioner of the NBA is the strongest person in the music industry at the moment.
That is so bizarre, but I mean, it makes perfect sense once you hear it.
Yeah.
But when you first told me that, I was like, "What?"
Yeah. It's just a point of view, but I believe it. It's because he's going to control a lot of it. There's sheds, the outdoor venues, but who knows? Those are only summer shows.
Yeah, I was
going to say. Who knows when this is going to kick back up? Stadiums, same thing. Who knows? And when after this finally gets cleared, then we have to set all the schedules. Then we need to see which tours we're already outgoing, and then how we're going to stack them coming out of that. And who's going to get first dibs, on these buildings, and what's the capacity is going to be? Are we going to? Is this going to change rules and regulations now where we need more space?
Oh
and so, is a 30,000 seat arena? Is that really going to turn to like a 15 or 20,000 seat arena? A ticket price is going to go up. How are we going to deal with these changes? There's so many layers that we just can't even guess at of what's going to happen on the other side of this.
And like I told you earlier, was the thing that gets me the most is just give me an end date.
Right.
And I know they can't, but that's
no change.
Yeah, for my mentality, it's like, okay, well, I've literally missed my entire holiday selling season.
Right.
I mean, I'm supposed to get my spring delivery on May 10th.
Right.
So I'm supposed to be out selling holiday right now. So my holiday's done. That's October, November, December.
Yeah, see, in our industry, our winters are the slowest. So all of us roadies, bands, everybody, we just came out of the slow part of the year making money. Like,
you want spring and summer.
Save for the winter. Yeah, spring, summer, fall, the 3 big seasons of touring. So all of us came, everybody was kind of broke, getting down to the last pennies. When we went into these rehearsals, that were just starting for all the tours going worldwide, and some tours had already kicked up. But with this ending, literally touring ended. There's a lot of people that had no money when this stopped, because this is right when we ramp up to make our money for the year, So it's so tough right now.
It's going to be a weird, like you said, it's, even if they said April 30th is the end date. Everything else. June
would be the earliest you'd see a show if that happened.
Well, in Virginia, the governor of Virginia, what I read yesterday was he shut down the state all the way through May.
Yeah.
So you're going to have some states that aren't even going to be open, even if they open, if Trump comes out and says April 30th, hey, we're good, we still got to deal with it, but, maintain social distance, but let's go back to work. You can have state governors that can say, nah, that's good. Newsom could say, no, let's wait till May 15th.
Yep. And all the countries are doing it differently too. And I think that's part of what's going to happen with touring is when it does start back up, you're going to see it regionally.
Yeah.
You're going to see American bands just touring America. You're going to see UK bands just touring UK. You're going to see Australian bands just there, et cetera, before we start the big international movement again.
So that won't be till 2021, really, till things.
A lot of tours have already pushed to 2021. Yeah. We pushed ours already to 2021. We announced it last week.
For Justin.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, we just announced last week that instead of we pushed through the summer and the fall, and we'll start touring again in 2021. Wow,
it's insane.
Yeah.
You think about how much revenue that it brings in revenue, not just for Justin. I mean, it's for you guys, it's the production, it's the arenas, it's the vendors around the arenas. It's
the popcorn poppers, it's the parking people, it's valet, it's ushers.
It's the restaurants around the arenas.
No, the restaurants around the arenas, the public transportation, everything. I mean, when entertainment goes down, it takes out so many people and so much stuff. I mean, us, the restaurant workers, the bus company. I mean, there's so many companies that are going to fall because of this, because they just don't have that kind of equity, It's really a scary time, but I really do feel at the end of this that a lot of good will come out of it. I hope,
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. What was out of all the bands? I'm looking at the list of your bands, and I just keep getting crazy with it. Who was the best to work with?
Well,
is that a bad question?
It's hard just because I've had so many great experiences for so many different reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
and then some artists are just difficult, I mean, we're on Justin right now. I'll talk about Justin. Justin has been phenomenal for me to work with. He's always taken care of my guys. He's always taken care of my family. When my wife got sick a few years ago and I was on tour with him, he still gave me a salary while I took care of my wife, which I'll be forever thankful for. I've had great times with Tool. I had great times with Limp Bizkit. I had great times with Korn. So Tracy Chapman was amazing. I've been really fortunate that I've been with a lot of great artists and people that are nice, regardless of what you hear in the press, because that's never reality.
Yeah.
The Pumpkins were cool. Lincoln Park, we had fun. I love my job. I love the industry. It would take a lot for me to have a bad day. I've only ever quit a couple tours, and those for multiple reasons. But I love my job and I love this industry. So it's hard to have a bad day when you love your job and all of it,
I try to explain it to my daughters. I'm the same way. Like my travel job, I like the stores I deal with, the owners, the people that shop in the stores. I go to the rodeos and work different events, and everyone's nice. Like I worked in some douchebag industries,
right?
And where people weren't friendly. Even the people you worked with weren't great. And so the last 10 years of my life have been great working for this company. And
yeah, I can't even imagine it. I got into this at a very young age with my mother and her theaters in the East Coast. I started lighting when I was a wee lad, like 12, and at their community theaters. And I've never done anything but, music and theater. And it's, to me, when I hear my friends and my wife's friends and stuff say how much, how unhappy they are with their job and everything, I'm like, I can't imagine. Yeah. It's like, you can do anything you want in life. You really can. It's not a bullshit magical thing or anything. You can do whatever you want, period. I don't care who you are. I see it happen daily. You just have to have that desire and go for it. So it's like, not to be goofy, you need to follow what you want to do. What makes you happy? If you love music, get in the music business one way or another. Like horseback riding, get into that business. It's whatever it has to be. People are like, oh, you can't just do it. I'm like, yeah, you can. You know what I mean?
Because I tell people that all the time.
I'm a high school dropout that followed the theater world, the music world, and became very successful. And I strongly believe it's because my heart was in it the whole time because I wanted it.
Yeah.
It's been a very, very good business to me.
Well, and I tell people, they'll come up to me at the road and they're like, so what do you do? And I tell them, like, oh my God, you have like a dream job. And I go,
right.
And then my daughter's been very fortunate to have some cool jobs. And they're like, how did she get those jobs? And I go, she applied.
Right.
She literally didn't know anybody. It wasn't she applied. And they called her. She interviewed. She got the job.
Really that simple. Sometimes you just got to ask.
And my podcast is the same way. I have a lot of podcast friends I started with about a year and a half ago. And they're like, how are you getting all these people? And I go, I don't know. I'm just asking.
Right. It's pretty wild, right? You just never know unless you ask.
I think that a lot of people are afraid to ask. And obviously if you ask like a jerk, you're going to get a jerk response.
Right.
So
that's great because then, you don't want to be there real quick. Like, oh, no, you're the jerk. I'm out. I didn't want to work for you anyway, bud. No.
But I have people come up to me and they're like, so let's see, you sell Western clothing? Because people that are in the Western clothing, or in the Western lifestyle, they're passionate. And, they wear Wranglers, Levi's, they wear all the brands. That's what they wear. And so they're like, so you travel California and Hawaii? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, you're so lucky.
That is an awesome region. I mean, give me a break. You're in constant sunshine, good food, nice people.
Well, you're not helping me, Chris. Come on, buddy. And I go, if you wanted that type of job, just like you, it's like, you have a great job, but you're on the road for 8 months a year.
Right.
And right now you're not working.
Nope.
And just like,
nor am I on the road.
Yeah. And your crew's not working. So that, that's the pressure you have too.
Yeah. That's definitely the hardest thing. So every day I wake up and try to find more and more sources for them to get grants and money and to keep all my guys updated on things they should be filling out.
Unemployment forms and yeah.
Well, yeah, and the unemployment's such a small part. I mean, we've been really lucky with this, and the music industry has really shown that we are a unit, cohesive unit. Live Nation's doing great stuff out there. There's a lot of organizations that are doing a lot of great stuff for roadies and the alike at the moment, and helping to subsidize some of the losses that we have, because when it kicks back up, we still need everybody healthy and ready, and it's been a good bond for a lot of people in this business, which is really nice to see.
That is. I mean, and I think my industry would be similar. And I think right. I think a lot of the industries, even like the athletics, I always tell people, it's like, think about the Olympic athletes that have been trained for 3.5 years.
Oh my God, yes.
They were 3 months from going to Japan for the Olympics.
Yep. And now they have to reset their whole physical, mental, everything schedule to push it back a year. Well, incredible.
The one guy I talked to was, you start talking, because most of them have jobs,
right?
That have been accommodating around their training schedules. Well, and then they have sponsors. Are those sponsors going to be so affected by this that they can no longer sponsor, or does the sponsorship end in July of 2020, and are they going to extend it now to July of 2021? And there's just a lot of things.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
So there's stress levels. The cortisol stress levels have just got to be astronomical on a lot of people right now.
Yep.
And those are for the ones that aren't even getting sick.
Yeah. And you don't have to get sick to have this virus affect you. I think everybody in the world has now been affected by it one way or another.
I guarantee it.
Yep. And there'll be a whole new world coming up.
What do you see as far as touring? What changes do you see in the next 5 to 10 years?
Man, it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
But I think it'll ramp up slow. I think we'll have, like I said before, I think there'll be some capacity changes. I think the international worldwide tours will take a little bit longer even to get going. But I think in the end, music's music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one thing we all understand worldwide. I don't care what language you speak. You drop a beat of any kind and people react. It just goes back to caveman days. You know what I mean?
Literally. Yeah.
Exactly. And I really think it'll come back strong. I think it'll be one of the first things that comes back. It's something we all do. I mean, I miss turning on TV and watching proper European football. I miss NCAA. I miss all the sports. I miss all of the music. I miss people getting together and, feeling that energy of having 20,000 people out of shed watching a show, dancing. And we miss that. We're meant to gather. We're human beings, That's part of why people are sad right now and broken. You can't go out. You can't lean on a bar and have a drink with 20 guys. You can't, I think the music industry will come back and get back to where it was rather quickly because it's a very natural thing we all need to do. And it's very animalistic and just a human thing to be together, and who doesn't like music?
I was going to say, you've been around the world. So
many times.
Yeah. So it's got to be interesting to go to Brazil where, they speak Portuguese and, and they're singing English songs.
Yep. It's no matter where you go, they'll sing the lyrics, even if they don't know what it means.
Yeah.
With English, we're lucky that way. English and Spanish, enough people speak of, but it's wild. It's great. Everybody's a little different in their cultures, the way they clap, the way they react, when they stand, when they sit, all that's kind of regional.
Yeah.
But it's always the end result. Coming together for joy.
I've always heard from musicians that they actually don't like playing in LA as much.
Well, LA, there's a whole stigma around LA, so that's interesting you bring that up. Yeah, the backstage is always obnoxious. Everybody thinks they're somebody special and needs special parking and needs special tickets, and all the artists that live here want to be, guest artists at the shows and everything. And it's like I always try to tell the artists I'm with, don't change your show because we're in LA or New York. In New York's the same thing.
Okay.
And it's like, don't change your show. Don't add a bunch of people, if it's going to affect the rhythm of your show. Have a special guest or something. But when you bring in 4 or 5 extra guests, all the artists get so stoked. They're like, yeah, it's going to be the best. Then you leave and like, God, that sucked. Why was the show so bad tonight? It's like, well, you changed the whole vibe. You worked all these months on putting a show together. You rehearse it with your band, your dancers, your crew, boo, boo, boo. And then you change everything just because you're in the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it is tough. And I can only imagine the extra pressures for the artists, having all their managers there and agents and their kids and their wives, and everybody wants to shake your hand and take a picture. When usually you get your mindset before the show, you have a routine we all do, that's always the same everywhere, but really those 2 cities and honestly London too. Those 3 cities are the ones that have that vibe. Yeah, I can see the artists telling me that.
Yeah, but what they had told me was because there's so many industry people that want to go to the show or they came for free or they're guests, they don't cheer. Yeah. The energy in the crowd's not the same.
Not at all. And that's right. They're a lot pickier. They stare there just waiting for you to do something different or have a rant or whatever. It's everybody does see every show that's in the business here, and they're a lot more judgy. LA is a very judgy place for that.
Well, and I also think, you go to Colorado or, major metropolitan, Colorado, Denver, Dallas, but people have to save up money to go to a show.
Yep.
And so when they go, it's a release. I'm going to have a few drinks. I'm going to have some pop. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to scream. I'm going to yell. But when they come to LA, it's, my friend got me some tickets and he knows the drummer or he knows the audio engineer. Yeah, if you want to go, let's go. True. So now you hadn't paid.
So true.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, most people, save and are able to go to one or two shows max a year.
Right.
Most people save for one show a year.
It's an event.
Yep. It's a huge event and it's special and it should be, and that's what I remind them all the time is don't get complacent. Like when you get out there, like designers that decide they want to change something up or the musical director or whatever. It's like, hang on, we built the show because it was a great show and we loved it. And that's why we put this out. Don't change it because you got bored with it, because you're still these other people, these other cities, these other countries we're going to haven't seen the show yet, So.
Well, see, and I've asked my friends that are musicians, I asked almost everybody, how do you maintain, if you've played, let's U2, Streets with No Name, they've been playing that song for 35, almost 40 years.
Yep.
So how do you play that song after 35 years with the same, because I've never seen them live, so I want to see the band, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so even like, Justin or any of the people that you work with, it's the 400,000th time they've sung that song, but it might be the first time their fans have seen it.
Yep.
So
it's a real tough one.
Yeah.
And it is hard. A lot of artists get sick of playing their big hits and don't want to do it, And it's like, the one thing I used to tell this one artist I was very involved with, I was like, they're coming to see the show because they want to hear the songs they fell in love with too,
Yeah.
So even though you're sick of playing it, they've given you money being your fan because that number one hit you had that brought him or her together with him or her or what have you, or girlfriends dancing together to certain songs growing up, they still want to hear, like with the Justin, they want to hear Baby. They want to hear certain songs, with the old rock and the Stones, everything. They want to hear Started Up. They want to hear these songs, U2, all these. Well, anybody's been around for more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
Of course they do. And it is a struggle, I'm sure, for the artists because they got to get sick of playing it. And, one of my artists finally said to me, like, I'm not just a box, I'm not a DJ. I'm not here. You telling me what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, but you have to give the fans also what they want, So I'm not a musician. I can't get in their heads and tell them what to do or how to do it or why to do it. I'd say 90% of the artists I'm with are really good about still giving the fans those hits and being able to spread out all the new music inside it as well, And I give a lot of kudos to the artists that play the Now record, and just make a few of the hits in between because
sure.
The artists have to feel what they're writing and present what they're feeling, and that's their right, So God bless them. Definitely play the new stuff, but remember to give them a couple of the old treats because that's why they're there.
Well, that's we went and saw, my wife and I went and saw Simple Minds, and
great band.
Yeah, we had never even seen them come out in the last, they've been playing over in Europe a lot, but they haven't come over to the States quite a bit. And so we went and saw him, and that guy, Jim Kerr, he's got to be late 50s, early 60s.
Right.
There was no opening band. They did 2 sets, and they were like an hour each, hour and 15 each. So he took a break. They went in the back and they played some music, and then they came out and they did just what you said. They intermit, because my wife's a huge Simple Minds fan, and they're like, 18, 20 albums in, and everyone wants to hear "Don't You Forget About Me," but
right.
They have their own favorites, so it's got to be hard to kind of figure out what songs to play.
Right. I did Crowded House in the early 90s. And the Finn brothers had a great way of doing it. on that tour. I don't think they do it on all tours, but certainly on the tour I was with them at that moment, where the audience was asked to bring paper airplanes, write down what songs they want, and throw the paper airplanes at the stage.
That's awesome.
And so what Neil would do is between songs, he'd kneel down and grab a piece of paper and go, okay, Pineapple Head, or whatever the song was. Yeah. And the crew would have to, and the band would have to scramble to get the right piece of gear on and kick up into the next song. So you never knew what the set list was going to be. So the lighting guy, the sound guy, the guitar techs, the band, everybody would have to be on their toes to know what was coming next, what was going to be called out, you know? And that was kind of cool because then every night was different and no one could really say anything because it was, you know, it happened to be just random, you know? We always had fun with it.
That would be a good way to change it up.
Yeah.
Wait, one thing I've asked.
Also a theater tour.
What's that?
That was also a theater tour where it's a lot easier to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got. You know, I couldn't imagine like with a show like Justin or Kanye or Ariana where you have dancers and lighting and you have a script basically you're following.
Yep.
And
100%.
When my daughter worked for the band that we talked about earlier. There was a one point in the tour or in the concert that somebody had to hit a button to let the confetti shoot out.
Yep.
And they had realized once they got to the first stop that no one had been designated that. So my daughter got to do it, but she had to hit it on the right note or whatever.
Yeah, the right beat.
Yeah. So she was the confetti button girl for one part.
Oh yeah. So many of the shows now are fully scripted, fully everything cued, everything's to time code.
Yeah.
You know. So much of that now.
Yeah. So that's just the way it is. So.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, what do you, with the downtime you have in between, with your travel, whether it's flying or driving or buses or probably mainly flying, but how do you feel in that time? Are you always doing work or are you trying to relax?
When I'm actually on the road?
Yeah.
I'm on the road. I mean, myself, I don't have days off. I call them non-show days. So I have show days and non-show days. My non-show days, I generally like to sleep in a little bit, work out, go back to my room, spend a few hours working, and then go out. Make sure I get out and see some of the local culture, eat the local food, and just give my brain a break to not think about the artist or everything that's going on. Yeah. You have to take breaths. If you don't stop and breathe, you get beat down, you get wore out, and you get bitter. So I don't want to be one of those old bitter guys that have been doing it too long. I still love what I do. So I try to make sure I get some me time on those days off, and take advantage of traveling. Even in America, where I've obviously been my whole life, there's still stuff I see every day, like in St. Louis or Milwaukee or whatever. You can always find something. But the local pub's always a great place to hang, just to see what's going on.
I have a business traveler, and his gig is he has an app on his phone, Chris, and it has all the craft beer breweries in every city.
There you go. Yeah.
So whether it's Chicago or he travels 3 weeks a month, and he goes. So if I'm bored, if I got nothing to do, or I just pull up that app, find a new craft beer, and it's got to be something I haven't. He goes, he's got a little check mark if he's been there or not, and
nice.
He goes to the next one.
Yeah, that's great. I know a lot of guys that do different things like that.
Yeah.
Some search out beers, some search out their favorite pizza joints or sandwich joints, or a lot of guys have little clicks like that. And, some guys all go out and go riding. Some guys go out in Harleys. It's usually when you get the tour up and running, going, little clicks develop, and the ones that like to sightsee, the ones that like to see movies on days off, the ones that eat, the ones that drink. It's cool.
What's sad is I get to do all that.
Ditto.
I'm like, I get to go to the museum because I mainly travel by myself. So at least you travel with a crew, whereas I'm out on the road. And I'll be up in Northern California for a week straight, 8 days. So one night I'll go to the movies by myself. One night I'll go to a museum or just kind of try and change it up.
Yeah, you say that, and I do travel with crews, but sometimes I love going out by myself. Honestly, I'm one of those people that absolutely loves eating alone sometimes.
I'm with
I
you.
just listen to all the conversations going on in the restaurant, eavesdrop on everybody, just kind of giggle.
Isn't that
Can
funny?
be very relaxing.
I was going to ask you, you're around a lot of famous people, and I think the one thing I would hate about it is losing the anonymity
Right.
of being able
Yeah.
to sit in a restaurant and watch other people and see,
Yeah, it's hard. I don't envy any of these famous people I work with or for.
Yeah.
They have a very hard life. The press, the public, make it very hard on them. It takes away their private life. It's. I understand, but it's like, yeah, but they want that. That's why they became famous. Well, you know what? Some people are meant to be singers. Some people are meant to be roadies. Some people are meant to be salespeople. Some people are meant to be computer geeks. We all have our
Athletes,
place
yeah.
and our purpose. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of unfair to say that just because that's their calling and that's something that makes them happy, that the negative part has to be part of that. I don't believe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whenever I see famous people out and about or whatever, I stay as far away from them, even if I'm like the superest fan, I'm like, let them have their normal, let them just be, and that is part of California, Southern California, that, a lot of artists can just go freely around. It's never a local that's walking up to in a restaurant.
Yeah,
So
it's a tourist.
Always a tourist.
I've only done that one time. It was with Olivia Newton-John.
Hey, all my years, I asked for one photo, and that was with Tupac Shakur at the Grammy many years ago.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, I didn't go up to Olivia because of me. My wife is a super fan.
Wasn't a childhood crush for you?
No. But my wife, like, her first concert was Olivia Newton-John at, I think, age 8 or 9. Her aunt took her to. She still has a picture from it. And so she's just a super fan. So I was at a work party that my wife didn't want to go to, and Olivia's there with her husband, and I'm like, oh shit! My wife's not going to believe me. So I went up to her. I said, hey, I hate to do this. I really hate to do this, but I just want to say thanks for music. Now that my wife's a big fan. She goes, oh, that's great. And she goes, oh. So she was actually really super nice, and her husband was nice to me. And I said, I've never done this, but is it possible we could take a picture together so I could show my wife? And she goes, yeah. So I hold out my camera, Chris, like level, like that's,
Yeah.
She goes, no, dear. And she puts up the camera higher for, I guess, a better angle. I don't know.
Right.
And so we take the picture and she leaves, and I sent it to my wife, and I texted to her, and we were both in Vegas at the time. And she's like, I'll be right there. Where are you? I'll be there in 5 minutes. I go, baby, she already left. She's like, oh my God. So that's the only person I've ever bothered. I mean, we're in LA, so you see a lot of people, but
of course.
But she wouldn't have believed me if she would have thought I was just messing with her. So.
That's great.
So what's the best way for people to follow you and see what you have going on?
I really don't do social media due to the fact that
yeah, I know.
all of our fans get a hold of all our info. There was a period of my life where I had to change my phone a lot, so I literally dropped off of social. And the only place I ever do much of anything is on LinkedIn,
right?
Because it is a good business platform.
Yeah, it is.
So that's the best place to see my resume and what I'm doing next and all that. And I post every once in a while but usually it's something industry related.
Yeah.
So that's really, you can find me on LinkedIn, and that's the only spot.
Do you ever mentor people, or
I do a lot.
Okay.
I mentor a lot of people. Interesting you say that. During this break, since this whole virus has started, I'm getting a lot of people asking me on LinkedIn, students around the world, about interviewing me and talking to me just about the business and how I got in. And some of music students that need to write papers, on somebody interesting or whatever. And so I've had this mass influx in the last 2 weeks where it's kind of overwhelming. And I found to my wife, and I'm like, man, I'm getting pounded by all these, kids, but not really kids.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And she goes, well, you've got a lot of free time now. Do it. So I've been doing it. Like yesterday, I spoke to two different people, one in New York and one in Prague.
Wow.
And literally just get on the phone, and they're amazing, the questions they come up with. And, it's been great. And then I do a lot of mentoring in our business of younger people coming up and trying to help them. I'm not one of the old dudes that's like, oh, fuck you young guys or whatever.
You got to learn it.
I like to have them around. They have a different perspective. They have a different way of looking at stuff. There's a certain amount of the generations that are lazy, but I've found as the boss, if you work with them, you can amp them up and get their work standards higher, and I work a lot on that when I am mentoring these guys and gals, to let them know, what we look for. Like, we want the harder workers. We want you to speak up and have an opinion. It's like I tell all my employees, please, if you think you have a better way of doing it or see a different way of doing it, please speak up, because we don't know everything. Yeah. We like to learn. I would love for you to tell me a better way to do everything, because at the end of the day,
better's better.
The better job we do as a whole, the better I look, for sure.
Yeah.
I strongly believe in hiring smarter than me as the boss, because then I know all my divisions are secure. I know they're going to do a great job. I know the whole show's better. So guys and gals that hire below them only because they've got to have that Napoleon complex, or I'm the king of the road.
Yeah.
I don't get that. It's like, I did that game when I was younger, and it was a disaster. As soon as I started letting go of that and being a boss that wants to have smarter people around me, my career got way better, and I'm more relaxed, because I don't have to stress like, oh my God, is the lighting going to be right tonight? Is this going to be right or wrong? Like, I always strongly believe, hire bigger and better than you, and direct well.
I totally agree. Even with my show, I've asked my daughters who are 24 and 26, hey, listen to a show. What do you think? Look at my website, because I want to see that younger perspective.
Right.
That, hey, I knew some lazy guys back when we were young too.
Yep. That's true. 100%.
Not everybody I grew up with was a barn burner.
No, I agree.
I think that's the misnomer that as we get older, we forget all the bad things.
It's true. It's true. But I ask my kids, and they're 17 and 15, I have them interject on, like, when I'm designing shows, like, what do you think? They're like, Dad, that looks, what's that, Dad? Or like, oh my God, that's a great idea. I bounce a lot off the teenagers around my house. Actually, we have a lot of kids here a lot of the times, and they have such a broad outlook, a totally different outlook, and it's not as tarnished, so I get a lot of,
and they tell you the truth.
Oh yeah, they're going to tell the truth. Well, Mr. Gratton, I don't know. You're like, oh, you're working with that artist? They're dreadful, or all those kind of things. Like, and sometimes I don't know. Like, when I got the call for Ariana Grande, because I did her first big tour, I didn't know who she was.
Yeah.
And I called my daughters. I was out, I think, with Kanye West at the time. I'm like, guys, you ever heard of Ariana Grande? And they literally screamed so loud on the other of the phone. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take that tour. That's a resounding yes. You just never know.
I did that with the president of a record label agreed to be on the show, and it's a rap label, and I was like,
right.
All right, and so I look him up, and I'm like, oh, this would be a good, nice interview, and his main artist was Gucci Mane, and,
right.
And so I literally text my daughter. I go, hey, is Gucci Mane like a, I go, what's it? They're like, yeah, Dad. I'm like, all right, relax. So
yep.
They're like, how did you get him? I go, I don't know. He agreed to be on the show.
Yeah, they're funny like that. My kids cringe that I produce Kids Bop. I can't tell anybody that, because they're older. I'm like, guys, you guys both listened to Kid Bop for years. It was your favorite stuff.
Don't tell anybody that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't tell them like that. Yeah. All right.
I was a kid back then.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, hey, but I truly appreciate the time, and
no worries.
And I would say we should hook up at some point, but you're on the road more than me, so.
Yeah, we'll see what the future brings. Maybe when we get on the other side of this thing,
Yeah, you
we
got
can
it.
get together with our wives and have dinner.
Yeah. Hey, that'd be great.
Awesome.
All right, bud. I appreciate the time
All
and enjoy your day, man.
Be well.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.